the census, each to his own city. Now Joseph also went off from Galilee, from the city of Nazareth, to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and family of David, in order to register along with Mary, who was betrothed to him and was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in clothes and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. Okay, so no room for them in the inn. And again, I see many versions, put this exactly the way it is, that there was no room in the inn. And this, of course, when we talk about inn, we assume, like a hotel, local hotel, a motel. There will be an innkeeper, obviously. But on a closer look at this text, we want to be sure that we're actually making the right assumption. Of course, there is no way of knowing exactly what happened and exactly where in terms of the location and all, but as much as possible, reading the text very closely in order to understand it. Now, it's not in many situations or for a lot of situation, or I should say it's not in every situation that we need to go and look at the Greek word that were used, for, in certain passages. But in a situation where a lot of assumptions were made, sometimes it's very useful to do that. The Greek word used for inn, or translated as inn in this passage, is the word kataluma. And kataluma, which generally means a guest room, or in a family home with limited space. And there are a couple of other places where this word was used. One is Luke chapter 22, where Jesus had asked, for the Last Supper, Jesus asked his disciples, or some of his disciples, to go and look for a place where they will have the Last Supper. They had asked him, Luke 22, 10 to 12, they had asked him, where are we going to have, the supper? And the Passover. He replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters, and say to the owner of the house, the teacher asked, where is the guest room, where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished. Make preparations there. And a good thing is that the same writer, Luke, that used that word here during the birth, a place where Jesus was born, or in relation to the birth of Jesus, and when a place where they were to eat the Last Supper. Now, the word inn was also used in Luke 10, verse 35, where the story of the Good Samaritan, after where he took the man that was injured on the road, to be taken care of. And that is what has been assumed to be the kind of place that Mary and Joseph went to, for them to lodge. And then, of course, there was no room. But in this case, a different word was used, and that word was Pandochion or Pandochios, depending on how it is translated, meaning commercial inn or public lodging house. And the difference here is that one was more formal and businesslike compared to a private home. So you may wonder, what's the significance of this? What we know is that Jesus was born in a manger, whether it's a private house or a public place. It really does not matter. Well, I know we'll get to the importance of this later. But the important thing to take away from this at this time is that Jesus was not necessarily, but Mary and Joseph did not necessarily go to a public, motel and somehow turn away from this location because there was no room. But perhaps it is most likely and most probable that it was to a private home, perhaps a relative's home that they went to, but because there was the guest room in that location, in that house, was already occupied, that the owner of the house actually did their best to make room for them in the larger space where at the back animals, will stay for the night, which is indeed the manger. But